The name of this show is Taking Care of Business. Emma, what does it mean to you to take care of business?
So I think for me, it's about leading a company, leading a business where you're making a difference, that you are building something that is fair, that is sustainable, where people can thrive. And it really goes back to some of what we were talking about before, actually, in terms of, for me, you don't normally associate the word caring with business, or take care with business. But I think this is one of the paradoxes that we need to hold as leaders, in that, yes, we need to ensure high performance. We need to ensure, that we're building successful businesses. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we're connecting as humans and we're providing that compassion for the people that work with us.
What does it mean for you to take care of business?
I think for me, the word, and it's actually my word of 2026, it's living in alignment each day with a sense of fulfillment and understanding that, like, I don't want to categorize like work as work, and that we spend about a third of our life, don't we, at work? Typically 8 hours a day. And I think for me, it's supporting my body and my team and my business so that work still is in alignment with me prioritizing my health and not sabotaging my health. And I get that sense of fulfillment every day. So I'm showing up in my work, my personal life, feeling, fulfilled. And I think we talk about like doing all these health routines and habits, and like the biohacking world has gone mental at the moment. And people are actually getting further and further away from honoring what brings them joy and fulfillment every day. And this is why I don't even like the word like routine. I'm like, do something that feels like a ritual that feels good and bringing that into my daily life as much as I can. And it's something that I've been teaching one-to-one clients lately is we've been like brainwashed, I think, a bit around like having the perfect morning routine and the perfect evening routine. But what about the bit in between?
Yeah.
If the bit in between feels like chaos, it doesn't matter how perfect that meditation is in the morning or that breath work before you go to sleep at night, you're going to still be living from a state of high stress and dysregulation. So, what I ask clients to do throughout the day is check in with themselves. When you have that 5 minute break from emails, typically mid morning, midday, mid afternoon, don't use it as 5 minutes to doom scroll on Instagram. Be present. Sit there with your coffee or your lemon and ginger tea, or take 5 minutes and 5 deep breaths outside. And I think it's understanding that whether it's work, personal life, I feel what a lot of people could really benefit from doing for 2026 and beyond is living more in the present. And there's that wonderful layout house saying that saying if we live in the past, we live with depression. If we live in the future, which I think so many people are doing now, we live with anxiety. That's why anxiety is such a buzzword, because we're always living in the future and forward projection of where we need to be next and what we're going to be doing after that. But people who live in the present live at peace. And honestly, like, you go for lunch with friends who are present in the moment with you, the energy is so different. And I try and bring that into the workplace as well. So whether I'm at the gym, which is like a more personal like thing, or I'm taking a walk on Hyde Park, or I'm at my laptop or in a meeting, presence to me is what really, really brings me that sense of fulfillment and calm within my nervous system.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. It actually reminds me of a book that I'm reading by Eckhart Tolle,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Power of
What book is
Now.
it?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
The Power of Now.
yeah,
There you go. Yeah.
Power
Pe-
of
the-
Now.
well, and I always say, being really transparent, we can take all the supplements in the world, but if we're constantly living a state of anxiety, and this was me to a T, I was probably like the textbook example of this, because I had a career over a decade of constantly having to go from appointment to appointment, driving 1,000 miles a week. Even when I was sat in that appointment, I was thinking, God, I hope this finishes in 10 minutes because I've got to leave for my next appointment, which is 2:30, which I don't want to be late for. So you're constantly living in that state of forward anxiety that is keeping your nervous system depleted. And your days go so much slower when you take yourself out of autopilot throughout the day and get into that present moment. And I call it the anchor. That anchor, I say to clients, we sometimes need something tangible for that anchor. So I will say to my clients, mid morning, midday, and mid afternoon, it sometimes has to be something tangible, like a book, a drink, a lunch. Be present with that. Check in with yourself. Do 3 deep belly breaths. And I honestly think that the people at marketing this, because there's no money to be made from it. I can make money from selling an infrared sauna or a vagus nerve stimulator. But if I just tell you to take moments 3 times throughout the day to be really present with yourself, how am I going to make money out of that? When really this is one of the most transformative things people living in the modern world can do. And especially bringing that into your working life as well. Really, really powerful.
What does it mean for you to take care of business?
Yeah, and I was sort of reflecting on this, and I think, what is business? Business is actually your relationships, and that's your relationships internally with your colleagues, and it is your relations externally with your those who are seeking funding, but also the providers of other services. And it's one of the things, it's just little things like, when I was a child, it used to make me very aggravated after Christmas to have to write a thank you letter to an aunt for sending a gift that I wasn't massively keen on, but it was the right thing to do. And it's about that maintaining of contact with people. So, doing the follow-up every time you have met somebody and remembering a fact about them that you can reference in that note, so that they go, oh, it wasn't just that was lovely to see you, hope to see you again soon. It was like you've stuck a bit more in their mind because you've shown you were listening and you've remembered a fact about them. And then if you see something that's interesting that relates to them, you follow up. But, oh, I saw this and I thought of you. And it is that that's taking care of business, right? It is showing people that you're thinking about them. But taking care of business is both the internal and the external. And it's all about the relationships. This all boils down to human relationships in the end, particularly with what we do. We are not selling cars. We are not selling a thing. We're selling money, which sounds like a weird thing to say, right? But and people don't just choose based on price. They choose based on what is your reputation about how you are to work with. How do you behave to all levels of staff? Really, really important, from the person you first meet on the reception all the way through to the senior person. All of these things are what's really important. And I think it's those relationships which it is so important that you look after. And that, for me, is taking care of business.
So, Steph, what does taking care of business mean to you?
I would say from a personal level, it's some of the things that you mentioned there, eating well. I try to exercise regularly. After this podcast, I'm going to go for a big long walk and listen to a podcast and just fill my mind with good, healthy thinking. So I love to do that. I love to be, learning, listening to things. Big podcast fan, as I'm sure lots of people listening to this are. And so my favorite thing to do is go for a big long walk and just listen to something really interesting and thought-provoking, or something I can learn from. So on a personal level, that's really important for me, spending time with my family. I spend a lot of time back in New Zealand now, where my parents are. They're retired, and it's just so wonderful after 17 years in the UK to be able to come back and spend time with them. So yeah, family, health, wellness, that stuff's really important to me. And from a business standpoint, as in my own business, I taking care of businesses is taking care of my clients. Once someone joins my program, I am so invested in getting them into their next role. And I really mean that in the sense that that's what brings me joy. Someone said to me once, like, why don't you just sell your program as just like content online, like just a video that people can watch? And I was like, but then I wouldn't get to know my clients. I wouldn't be on the journey with them. Like, I genuinely love like being on the journey with someone. And when they get to the end of that, having them get a job that they then love is the best feeling in the world. I can't even tell. I think it's even better than when I got my job at Apple, which was unbelievable. I have had clients that have really hated their jobs or have never had a job that they love. I had one client the other day tell me that she thought I was, I can swear on here, but she said, I thought you were full of shit when you told me that people wake up on Monday morning and love their job. And I thought you were full of shit when you said that there's people who want to go into the office, because she hated going into the office. And she now works at Lego.
Lego, by all accounts, is a fantastic employer. She loves her team. She loves going into the office. She told me she goes in on Fridays, even though they're hybrid. You don't have to go in on Fridays, but she's like, my team's a vibe. A lot of them go on Fridays because they like to go into the office. I go on Fridays because it's just better than being at home by myself. And she's like, I just thought that you were full of shit. I didn't think that you could love jobs like this. And she's like, it's just amazing. And having her tell me that just makes me so happy. And it just drives me to want all of my clients to find that. And I want that for everyone. I want everyone to find a place that they love, where they wake up, they go to work, they feel really passionate about what they're doing, they feel happy. Because unless you have a trust fund, and I don't have that, you're going to have to work. Like I had to work, most people have to work. So why not wake up and go to something that you really love and believe in? And I know that it sounds really idealistic, but I promise you there is stuff out there for everyone. I have had so many people join my program and not believe that that's possible for them, and now be in jobs they love and on the path with their career that they've always wanted. And it's just something I feel really passionate about. So from a business perspective, making sure my clients get to where they want to go is taking care of business for me.
What does taking care of business mean to you?
Taking care of business to me is about leading with purpose, integrity, elegance, and relentless intent, or that laser sharp focus that you've talked about. You have to show up, you have to build with depth, you have to make room for humanity, you have to always give back as well. And I'm massive about that. And you have to own your narrative, own your space, and own your journey. Everything that comes along with it. That's what taking care of business is.